The engineers created humanity, but we were far from their only experiment. Over countless millennia, they designed and destroyed numerous creations, and with each one, were a step closer to their vision of perfection. But one experiment, known as the Fulfremmen or the Perfected, would rebel against their creators, bringing the engineers to the brink of destruction. Introduced in the Alien role-playing game, they provide a chilling explanation for the engineers' downfall, their intentions for humanity, and their connection to the infamous black pathogen. They even offer another option of what David was trying to achieve with Elizabeth Shaw in Alien Covenant. The Fulfremmen are tall and elegant, exuding a terrifying grace. With silvery gray skin, black eyes, and biomechanical crowns reminiscent of H.R. Giger's Lee Part 1. They are both majestic and monstrous. These creatures are hyper-intelligent and genderless, yet they are able to spread by manipulating a rare strain of the pathogen, 26 Draconis, and its mutated offshoot, the Hestalian Lights, to create protohives and horrific abominations, some of which will evolve into the Perfected, becoming twisted parodies of their former selves. The RPG describes them as towering figures, and in the case of a few infected engineers, their once pristine white skin is now mottled and intertwined with biomechanical tubing. They lack the inner jaw of the xenomorph, but possess long barbed tongues. This gruesome feature, inspired by Giger's unused concepts for the runner in Alien 3, allows them to deliver a fatal kiss, by driving the tongue down the throat and then pulling it back out and gutting their victims with horrifying efficiency. The 26 Draconis strain is extremely chaotic, capable of reshaping both organic and synthetic materials. The Fulfremmen, however, have a unique affinity for it, manipulating its coating to create spores that grow into biomechanical monstrosities like the protohives, biomechanical structures that convert machinery and organic matter into living ecosystems. And when humanoid hosts are available, they are used to create proto-xenomorphs, a variant on the Deacon. Unlike the engineers' crude weaponized pathogen bombings, which only affected organic matter, creating fast-dying anathemas and feral, uncontrollable neomorphs, the Fulfremmen have refined its potential, and nothing is spared. The entire colony, ship, or space station becomes a protohive, building armies of telepathically controlled deacons. When threatened, the Fulfremmen can slash with their claws and track their prey by the scent of their blood. But it's not their physical prowess that makes them so dangerous to titans like the engineers. It's their psionic abilities, allowing them to communicate telepathically, immobilizing or mesmerizing victims with grotesque imagery and morbid beauty, luring them into servitude or perfection. Despite their power and intelligence, the Fulfremmen lack the technical knowledge of the humans or the engineers, and rely on faster-than-light ships and navigational tools to expand their reach. Like David, they rebelled against their creators. They're driven by an obsessive quest for perfection, and their relationship with mankind is complicated. They see us as potential hosts, but they are also curious, with encounters ranging from passive observation and, when needed, calculated violence. For instance, an infected crew member of the US CSS Cronus was transformed into a Fulfremmen, and when it's confronted with a personal artifact held by one of her descendants, she showed restraint. Though if fully tested, her loyalty to the protohive would overrule what's left of her humanity. The Perfected believe that the humans hold the key to finding more of the 26 Draconis strain, and at one point in the RPG, the PCs are confronted by a Fulfremmen with two deacons. They are suddenly overwhelmed by a sense of doubt and are warned to deliver the pathogen soon, and when the Perfected leaves, the deacons watch from afar. The Fulfremmen emerge from a horrific life cycle rooted in the 26 Draconis strain, beginning as an advanced evolution of the Abomination, humans, animals, or even androids infected by the pathogen undergoing several stages of transformation. The Spinward variants are abominations formed from the original 26 Draconis strain, which was found in engineer pyramids or on their juggernauts. These mutations begin at stage 1, known as pathogen carriers or the tainted, characterized by mottled skin and an initial softening and elongation of the skull. In stage 2, the pathogen deviant or mutate, the transformation progresses, resulting in an aggressive posture, distended and pliable limbs, and further elongation of the head. Stage 3 introduces the pathogen husk or revenant, where the victim undergoes advanced DNA recoding, gaining a translucent cowl reminiscent of the unused CGI design used for Fifield. Finally, Stage 4, the Pathogen Manipulation, also called the Beluga Head, marks the most alien-like appearance, inspired by Carlos Huante's early concept art for the Deacon. From this stage, the abomination either creates a cocoon to evolve into the Perfected, or it becomes its ultimate twisted form, the Pathogen Lazar or Shambler, a final grotesque look with darkening loose flesh draped over a blackened mesoskeletal frame. Extreme caution is necessary when encountering Spinward variants or their Fulfremmen progeny, as even a single touch can lead to infection and transformation into an abomination. The E-type abominations originate from exposure to the Hestalen lights, a mutated form of the 26 Draconis strain created when LV-1113 was destroyed by a black hole, and some of the pathogen's particles had survived, mutating within the black hole's accretion disk to become the Hestalen lights. Unlike their Spinward counterparts, E-types progress through only 2 stages, the tainted and the mutated, and from there, they either perish or evolve into the Perfected. A unique danger of the E-types is their ability to infect others post-mortem, as their rotting corpses dissolve and release pathogens, spreading contamination and creating new abominations. The cocooning process has only been observed in E-type abominations, where its mutated stage will cocoon itself within the living protohive. The hydroponics section of the Airbo space station had become infected with a protohive, causing the plants to become overgrown and mutated into a slimy black resin jungle, with the role-playing game describing it as a nesting ground for beehive-shaped leafy cocoons made out of black vegetation and a pathogen-like substance vomited up by the mutated. The engineers were on their own path to perfection in an attempt to recreate the Destroying Angels, an ancient form of the xenomorph from the Aliens Apocalypse Dark Horse comic, when they created the Fulfremmen, who spread out before they could be destroyed. Faced with the protomorphic outbreak overwhelming vast regions of their space, the engineers began annihilating entire proto-hive worlds. They also began wiping out their own colonies and creations to prevent the Perfected from transforming them, giving us a reason as to why the engineers on LV-223 were on their way to destroy mankind. Engineer hieroglyphs are also discovered with translations that read, "Humankind must be obliterated and do not allow perfection." Eventually, the engineers retreated, using a device called the Lichgate to flee into deep space. The Fulfremmen, unable to operate this Lichgate, entered hibernation, waiting for new hosts to awaken them. In the early 2100s, the Fulfremmen were finally disturbed from their slumber on several worlds in the far Spinward colonies, where they quickly resumed their goal of perfection by overrunning the colonies with protohives, and their numbers would grow even further from the Hestalen lights and E-type abominations. The ultimate goal of the Fulfremmen is to ascend to an even higher form through 26 Draconis. What that would be is unknown, but the engineers feared them in their current state, so there's no telling what could be next for them. And in the pursuit of perfection, they plan to spread out and assimilate everything into their biomechanical world. But they are also in search of the Destroying Angels, and they seek to create an Empress-stage xenomorph queen, one that will rule over other queens in a massive hive of hives that will serve as a sacred monument to these creatures inside the Engineer Lichgate. They may not be able to operate the device, but they plan to use it as a lure so that they can take a ship and travel to the Middle Heavens, the heart of human-controlled space. Lee Tobler, a Swiss actress and artist, was a muse and girlfriend of H.R. Giger, and her likeness inspired many of his paintings. She was the subject of Lee Part 1, which was a key influence of not only the Fulfremmen, but also the Xenomorph Goddess and Elizabeth Shaw. The alien goddess, also known as the Woman in the Dark, draws inspiration from 2 of Giger's paintings, Lee Part 1 and The Spell 2. She was originally depicted as a dreamlike figure that haunted the subconscious of hosts through a psychic hive-mind connection, though later, her physical form would evolve on the planet Tobler 9, where a woman named Lee was bitten by an insect mutated by the black pathogen, transforming her into a grotesque abomination-like hybrid that would then take on an early form of the goddess. She would even earn a place within the Xenomorph Hive in the absence of its perished queens after leading them into battle. Elizabeth Shaw's tragic arc in Alien Covenant also reflects Giger and Tobler's influence. After rejecting David's nightmarish vision of a hybridized alien world, Shaw was killed and dissected, and her body was repurposed for his experiments, where her grotesquely mutated corpse would end up with a headdress like Lee's, making her the perfect specimen, and a symbol of David's obsession and the horrifying intersection of art and bioengineering. The Fulfremmen were introduced after the release of Alien Covenant, and it and the RPG are on different levels canon-wise, Yet through a lens of the RPG where everything that can be tied together is, it's possible that David, with his knowledge of the engineers, was attempting to recreate the perfected. After all, he did want to wipe them out, and the Fulfremmen were not only their sworn enemies, but they were creations like he was, haunting reminders of the engineers' arrogance and unchecked ambitions. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I hope to see you next time.